Ukrainian troops practicing war on Salisbury Plain with British help and British weapons. It's just one of the many ways in which the new normal created by Russia manifests itself. Expect to see much more of this. Britain and NATO giving more hardware and software to Ukraine, but leaving the liveware, the actual fighting, to the Ukrainians. A proxy war to defend the embattled values of the West. Russia has divided the world between the forces of democracy and autocracy, and today's summits made the point. Yes, summits, 2 of them. The first here in Madrid, with the NATO leaders of 30 nations, soon to be joined by Sweden and Finland, huddled to pat each other on the back and reaffirm their vows. And the other summit this week in the Turkmen capital Ashgabat. A Caspian-class reunion under Prefect Putin, their new champion, where the table was once again the real star. We'll get back to that one later. In Madrid, NATO celebrated its new purpose for a more dangerous world. There was the commitment of 300,000 troops to shore up its eastern flank and increasing all domestic military spending. President Biden was at pains to stress that America was back at the helm.
Thank you. Putin thought he could break the transatlantic alliance. He tried to weaken us. He expected our resolve to fracture, but he's getting exactly what he did not want. He wanted the Finlandization of NATO. He got the NATOization of Finland.
Finland and Sweden's accession protocol will be signed as soon as Tuesday, warp speed in NATO time. Meanwhile, at the other summit, in another universe, President Putin gave his response.
Хочется им, пожалуйста. Только они должны ясно и четко себе представлять, что раньше не было никаких угроз для них. Теперь в случае размещения там военных контингентов и инфраструктуры мы вынуждены будем отвечать зеркально.
Back to NATO and Putin's threats against Baltic member states like Lithuania, once under Moscow's control. Are you worried that the Russians are serious about some kind of consequence for Lithuania, or are they just bluffing at the moment?
You know, nowadays we have to take seriously every threat, and rhetoric should be taken seriously too, because we remember the story of Ukraine.
But when it comes to Russia, are you afraid that either next year or the year after you could be next?
You know, if Putin will succeed in Ukraine, certainly there will be next target. I wouldn't like to guess who will be this. Maybe Baltic countries, maybe Romania, maybe some other countries, because I see only few countries which were not threatened by Kremlin recently.
Last push, Jens. Right for the line.
Helping Ukraine win to prevent the war from spreading, while shoring up your own military. That was the mantra at this summit. And Boris Johnson seems very comfortable in the new role that this war has created for him.
We need to invest for the long term in vital capabilities like future combat air, while simultaneously adapting to a more dangerous and more competitive world. And the logical conclusion of the investments on which we propose to embark, of these decisions, is that we will reach 2.5% of GDP on defence by the end of the decade. Thank you. See you later. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson returns home after 8 days abroad and 3 summits to face the bitter domestic music. And so does Joe Biden, returning to a world of woes which no amount of armour can protect him from. They all face similar dilemmas: how to maintain public support for a grinding war whose economic costs are stoking exhaustion. That's the problem with defending democracy. It involves the inconvenience of elections.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments.